Alright, today we're going to look at reddish, orangish, whatever colored inks that I happen to have on hand. Why? Because, well, why not? Let's see what we can do today. I have 5 inks to look through, and we're going to have ourselves a little fun. Because that's what we do. I will be using a Sailor Hocoro Dip Pen with a fewed nib. If I can get that to focus. See that tip? Look at that bend. That tip allows for a significant variety in line variation as you write, which I rather enjoy. Alright, so first up is going to be my current favorite out of this lot, Diamine Ancient Copper. Ooh, it's ancient. Alright. Let's get to it. So, can you see that on camera? The crustiness around the nozzle of that bottle. When you open a bottle of ink, give it a wipe when you're done. Other people who may stumble across this video will be able to speak more authoritatively to why that happens. I don't know. I don't care. It happens. And so, gotta deal with it. So that's our swatch for Ancient Copper. And dip that pen in. Ancient Copper. Now, why aren't you focusing? You are. Freeze copper. I may have oversaturated this specific sample. On this paper, it normally looks more ancient coppery. Now that you can make the argument, well, copper greens over time as it patinas, but I don't care. Sailor Afternoon Tea is next up. This one is a little lighter, at least the last time I used it was a little lighter than Ancient Copper. Trying to think how long, it's been a while since I've used this one. Oh, let's take a look at that. So this is the this is the Afternoon Tea, that's the Ancient Copper. See how much darker the Ancient Copper is than the Afternoon Tea? Oh, much lighter. Wow. La-di-da. Catch that, and we'll you see the shading really coming out on this one already as it dries, or starts to dry. Very, very nice ink. It's the only Sailor ink I own, actually, right now. Aside from some random blue, that I think maybe was in a cartridge. Is this right? No, I'm thinking of a different. I've never owned any other Sailor ink other than Afternoon Tea. This is still my first bottle of Afternoon Tea, and it's full. I've barely used it. Next up is this Jinhao Generic Red. This was on sale recently on one of those sites, like AliExpress or Temu or one of those recently. And I think I paid $3 for it. Now, I've barely used this. When I swatched it, well, let's take a look at the initial swatch. This is on Rhodia paper. And let's see if I can find it. Jinhao Red. Kind of more orangish. Kind of boring. Some degree of shading there. Let's see if I can actually highlight that a bit. I'm not sure this is actually red or if this is one of those shades of red that's somewhere between orange and red. It is what it is. But look at how vibrant that is on my high-tech applicator. Let's swatch that. And dip. Jinhao is an interesting company. They make a lot of pens. It seems like everyone has had a Jinhao pen at some point or other. A lot of their pens seem to be knockoffs. And a lot of their pens seem to be not amazing, but the quality of their pens has increased dramatically, especially over the last year. But I think it really started, I don't know, 2 years ago. I may not be the best person to weigh in on that. I think it happened when they released the rollerball version of the 159. The 159 rollerball was followed by the X159, which is the updated 159 series fountain pen that they offer. I have one of these. .159 series fountain pen. Typical cigar shape. People say it's a knockoff of another company's designs. It's a cigar shaped pen. How much variation are you going to get in a cigar shaped pen? Their nibs have improved dramatically. This is a fine nib. I think this came with an extra fine nib. I have a cache of relatively new Jinhao nibs that I bought needing one, but wound up with many. This was actually my first Jinhao fountain pen. This is a 9019, and this pen is why I started looking at the lower cost, especially Chinese fountain pens. And this one was bought at the beginning of this year. It is, what? September 3rd, 2025 as I record this. I bought this pen in January. So I've had this pen for 9 months, almost to the day. When I say I bought it in January, I mean it arrived in January if you buy from any of these overseas sites. You know that you might be waiting a substantial amount of time for your shipment. This pen, and I'm not saying Jinhao can't be hit or miss. I'm not saying that their old stuff is not wonderful. I'm just saying that there's value there if you look. But this pen is better than my Lamy pens. It's better than my... what else? It's better than... I would say this rivals my Monteverde Ritma with its fine nib. I would say this pen, believe it or not, is better than this Visconti Ecologic. This is a Rembrandt pen. Nothing wrong with this. This Jinhao is just a really good pen. But we're not here to talk about pens, we're here to talk about ink. And you can see, as I've ranted, this Jinhao red has dried, and you can see better shading on this cheapo 2 for $1 on sale notebook paper. I don't know what these stickers are. They came in pen orders. I just stuck them here because whatever. What is Jet? Oh, I know Jet Pen. Oh, no. This is actually from a toy set. These were on the screens of a aftermarket Mac Classic thing that looked like the Banana Junior from Bloom County. But boy, I am really rambling here. Let's get back on topic with Diamine Oxblood. This is what comes out when you kill yourself an ox. So, I've swatched this ink. I have not used it at all. This is the second time I'm opening this bottle. And look at that. Wow. Oxbloody. So, that's something. Let's stick this dip pen in here. I think I got it. I'm not even sure. Yep. Oxblood. There's some shading there. It's not really showing up on camera at all. I have multiple lights on this as well. Someone has to fix his camera settings. And by someone, I think I mean me. Alright. Close up the Oxblood. And that brings us to our last one. Diamine Writer's Blood. So the interesting thing about this ink is I tried ordering it, I don't know, 3 times. And on the 4th time I actually got it. The other 3 times it was out of stock, it was order canceled, or whatever. I like to think that they were in a rush to produce it because the label isn't applied properly. Normally I wouldn't notice something like that, but this glaring shipping label on the side of the bottle that whoever I bought it from, I don't remember who, stuck on it. Actually, am I getting this off? Oh, look. I didn't know that. It's made in Uck. I actually lived in the UK for a while. Many, many moons ago. Different lifetime ago. Open. And like Oxblood, this is only the 2nd time I'm opening this bottle. I have not had it very long. And I've only refilled my current pens that I'm using once since it arrived. There is a swatch video on Rhodia paper somewhere for all of these inks, but I'm like a year ahead on that stuff, so you might not be seeing it for a while. And we'll dip my pen in here, and hopefully, yep, looks like I got it. I'm back pretty far, so Diamine, Writer's Blood. It's like I pricked my finger and I'm using it to... I don't know. I think this is a pretty boring color despite its apparent popularity. So, this is a Hocoro Dip Pen. You know, for $10 or whatever I bought this dip pen for, this actually, I did not like it at first, but I am really enjoying this Feud nib. This is, not to dump on Lamy constantly, but this is more fun to write with than my Lamy All-Star, AL-Star, Al Bundy Star, whatever. Okay, let's take a closer look here, because this is marginally interesting. So, let's lock this stand into place. As I write with this Writer's Blood, trying to get this going here, you can see, there we go, that's a bit better, and let's try to focus this. There we go. You can see really good shading through here. The loops on the P's, this one especially I like. Top of the Z's, the D and the P, the S. So maybe I'm being unreasonably hard on this ink as I think about it. I don't know. Let's take a closer look at each of these inks though. We have Diamine Ancient Copper. That's some nice shading. In real life, this is a different shade than this, so there's several different layers to it. We have our Sailor Noon Afternoon Tea, which is shaded beautifully. Look at that. We have our Jinhao Red. I don't know what to say about that. The Diamine Oxblood, which, believe it or not, is not black. This is actually a red, and you can see some shading there, but what you're seeing on the screen is about what I'm seeing in real life, so not particularly interesting. Then we have Diamine Writer's Blood. I'll put an S at the end because whatever. Apparently I'm illiterate. That's super exciting. Some nice shading, especially around the periphery here of the swatch. you don't really get into the nice shading until we start looking at the writing I did with the Feud nib. And this could be that the nib was just oversaturated when I was writing thin lines here. The only letter I'm seeing here with anything in the way of shading is this S at the end. When we come down here, I was playing with the nib more, and again, much nicer ink. And anyway, that is my 20+ minute, whatever you want to call this, review, demonstration, blah blah, of some ink. Let's zoom ourselves back out here and take a more holistic view of my workspace, and we'll play with the focus. There we go. That's kind of a horrible angle for this camera. Let's fix it. So anyway, that's that. Take a look at these bottles again. I'll lay them out pretty and in order. All of this for what, a thumbnail? Yeah, you're not going to stay upright. Whatever. I'm not going to use that as a thumbnail. That looks terrible. Anyway, blah blah. Stay in school. Play with your ink. And have a good day.